Hear the fire truck?
Get some fire trucks. Yeah. Did Coach Walt pay your building a visit?
Oh, okay. This-
Hi, I'm Justin,
and I'm Luke.
and welcome back to Relative Banter Podcast.
A quick disclaimer. If you've never seen Smallville, we recommend you stop listening now and resume once you've completed the show. There are spoilers ahead. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 3 of Smallville, Hothead.
Yeah, it's directed by Greg Beeman, probably Beeman, but it's spelled B-Man, and also written by Greg Walker. A lot of Gregs.
A lot of Gregs. Synopsis for the episode is when Coach Walt Arnold's football legacy is threatened by a cheating scandal, the coach entices Clark onto the team. Meteor rocks in the coach's sauna infects him with the ability to generate fire, and his enemies start getting burned.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's kind of giving like Chloe's torch puns at the end of the episode.
Which they do make a torch pun in this episode
They make
also.
they make several. I'm saying.
Yeah. Speaking of puns, right off the bat, like the first scene is like very Friday Night Lights, which they allude to later.
They actually say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very like the epic highs and lows of high school football episode. That first scene had so much rain. I was like, wow, like no wonder Whitney couldn't like make his plays because that rain machine was working overtime.
Yeah. It's always so weird to me to think that, like the rain or shine, for like the just a policy, I guess, for like football, because I know like for certain other games like baseball they don't play when it rains, because I can imagine that kills visibility like crazy.
Yeah. Do we want to just talk about the freak of the week stuff? Get that out of the way.
I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand because the football coach
Yeah.
is the freak of the week. So one of the first things you see like is he's in the sauna that was like gifted to him, and I thought that was so odd. What school allows a sauna to be put in the coach's office, no matter if it was dedicated or not? Like, it just seems so odd that was able to happen.
I don't know, but all I know is that in our high school, yeah, we went to the same high school. The football team, the football department,
Spoken like
whatever.
someone that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I was in band. What can I say?
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
yeah, the football team got all the money, so it actually doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me that he had a sauna.
I
I
mean, yeah,
mean,
we had like a giant football field, so,
yeah,
and track.
they had all new uniforms, and of course, the coal he uses for the sauna is meteor rock because why not?
Of course, but like, the thing that I thought about in this too is that like not only the rocks show up as green, but like the smoke shows up as green because it's meteor rock. Why does no one notice that or like question it? Like, I'm starting to believe that it's just an effect that's added on so that the audience knows, but that no one else can really tell. Or else like everyone in Smallville is kind of oblivious to the greenness all over the place.
Yeah, maybe it's just normal for them. I mean, I don't know. That's the suspension of disbelief.
I was just like as it was happening, I was like, does he not see that the smoke that's billowing in his face is green? Like, what's going on?
Maybe he's colorblind.
Fair point. It was just an interesting thing.
I like how after they won at the beginning, he was like, "We're not the only team eating crow tonight," and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, a lot of a
Like,
lot of the puns. I think it sounds like something that they say, like the other team's eating crow because we beat them.
yeah, because they're the crow. So bad. But
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you're a
yeah.
high school coach for 25 years, you don't really get very many original jokes. You just keep retelling your jokes to the new kids that come in.
Okay, I get he was the coach for 25 years, and there's a lot of talk about legacy, which I want to talk about later. But he just was so entitled to his like glory that it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was basically like there's no democracy in football. And I'm like, okay, football fascist. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he just had a big ego. You know, he thought that he was entitled to, like, I'm getting my 200th win. I've been, doing this for 25 years. All the people that I've coached over the years are just they went to higher places, and now I take advantage of that. It's he just got on his high horse.
yeah, it's kind of crazy that like he thinks just because he won some football games for his students that they'll do whatever he wants. I don't know. Very entitled. And his giant poster of himself in his office of him like angrily pointing,
Yeah,
like it's giving dictator.
it's kind of Uncle Sam, though. Like, we want you,
Mm.
but it's kind of fitting that that went up in flames.
Yeah, true. He calls himself an institution. It's like, all
Yeah,
right, bro.
yeah. We're gonna
It's
name this school after you as it goes down in flames.
well, Clark pretty much kills the guy if you think about it.
I think it's more that he just didn't save him.
But he pushed him into the fire. I mean, I don't
Well,
think
no,
he
he
intended to kill him, but
he pushed him, and then the guy went full beast mode and just lit everything on fire and was caught in there. Like, because when he was first pushed into that room, it wasn't there was like some embers going on. But either way, like, I think this is more of a non-save than a kill. Like, he even says to him, like, it's over, give it up, and then he goes full beast mode and like lights everything on fire. So
I think at some point this season though, Clark starts to kill people and then there's like an active kill count that I want to keep track of. But yeah, I
it's
guess he
true.
didn't technically save him, but like there's times where he
He let down the theme song.
you don't even like the theme song.
I don't. I don't know. I can't get into it. There were a lot of songs I could get into this episode, though. There was like Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz, like not the opening
Hmm.
scene, but like right after the opening scene after the credits. And then there was the first time Clark gets on the field. There's some 41 motivation.
Yep.
So some good music in there.
Hmm.
Very nostalgic for us.
For sure. Even that first song with the at the beginning was pretty good. I didn't know that song, but I might download it later. That's my thoughts about the coach. Really, I mean, him and his beef with Principal Kwan is kind of wild. Since Kwan is new and Mr. Coachman is a quote unquote institution, uh, you
Yeah.
know,
It's pretty crazy to me too, because like at first I remember just thinking that this was another teacher. I didn't realize that there was a principal. But once you realize it's the principal, like, new or not, the guy's his boss. And even still, like, it's not like you don't answer to anybody. Like, he acts like he's just like, I'm my own boss and I don't answer anybody but me. And like, that's not how it
yeah.
works, bro. You work in a high school.
That's the thing. He just seems like a bully, a high school bully that never grew up,
Yeah.
and then he's just like he's bullying his students and then he's helping them cheat on their midterm. And once he gets found out, he's literally like, he literally punches the kid
And later we
after.
find out that it wasn't the first time that he punched the kid. Like, he said, like, that one time he drove him home and punched him in the gut.
Oh,
So this was like a history of like going on even before he got these weird fire powers and burned the kid's arm.
yeah, that was some cool makeup.
Yeah.
Anything else about Coach Walt and his freak of the weakness?
That he notices that Kark has a hell of an arm, whatever he says, and then he's like badgering him to get on the football team. Creates all that tension between Jonathan and Clark.
Yeah, the coach talks a lot about legacy, his legacy, and that's something that runs through the episode. Clark talks about how Jonathan and his grandfather both played football, and then Lana talks about how her mom and her aunt were both cheerleaders. And then
Hmm.
obviously there's Lex and Lionel who work for the same company. It's it's all about
True.
legacy. And do you follow in your parents and in some instances grandparents footsteps, or do you forge your own path?
Hmm.
And that comes to a head towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Definitely see your train of thought.
thanks. Um, thoughts about Jonathan and Clark and football?
Well, I understand both points of view. Like, I understand Clark just wanting to be a normal kid and, play sports. And I also understand Jonathan's point of view. Like, like you have these powers. With that comes this responsibility to use them responsibly. And I get that, but like, he's still just a kid. He's supposed to be 14. I get that, like maybe if he's a 30-year-old man or something, but like, he's still learning, and the way you learn responsibility is by doing things like this and making those mistakes and learning from them. You can't just keep him in a box all this time and hope that he learns these things.
Yeah, and I guess his age is kind of part of it. He thinks he's too young to handle the responsibility of hiding his powers and not hurting someone, but I think Martha kind of comes to the rescue at multiple points in the episode. She doesn't necessarily fully trust that Clark has a grasp on his powers, but she understands where he's coming from.
That she definitely like plays devil's advocate, like where she doesn't really agree, but she's like imagining what it would be like in Clark's shoes.
Yeah, I mean, because the as much as he's an alien, he's also been raised as a human, and he's just trying to have a normal high school experience. And
Yeah.
I get that, and he just wants to do what his father and grandfather were allowed to do when they were his age.
What's to do with everyone's being able to do. Like his friend Pete is on the football team. And Pete
Yeah.
also talks about the legacy of, his father and grandfather, doing the same thing. It's hard to like see all these people around you doing something that you also have interest in and being told you can't, and also not being able to explain why you can't either. So
Hmm.
I get it. I definitely understand it. And I get the concern, but like anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can, like, whether you're superpowered or not, like anybody can make a mistake and, someone could get hurt. It makes it seem like inevitable that something like that's going to happen, but like I don't think it's inevitable. I think it's just something that could happen no matter what. To kind of hold Clark back because of that possibility, just seems unfair, and that's why he acts out against it.
Yeah, I found it pretty interesting that Lana was kind of having the opposite experience, and
Hmm.
how like when Clark joins the football team, she quits being a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I think part of it was like she quit because she believed that the football players cheating was wrong, and
Hmm.
that maybe that there's more to high school than more to her than being a cheerleader. She wanted to see what she's good at. And I respect that so much. Like, I think that was such a cool move for her.
I think in the same way that Clark is like leaning into that, like following in the family's footsteps, she's starting to try and see how she can form her own path. Like she said to Whitney, like the things that seemed really important to me don't really seem certain anymore. That to me meant like, when she started doing cheerleading, that like it felt like that she was supposed to do this. It wasn't even a choice. It was just like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And now that she is questioning that, she's like, oh, well, maybe just because everybody else did it in my family doesn't mean I have to too. I can do something else. And I want to do something else. I want to see what else I'm capable of. That's also a valuable lesson to learn.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's been pigeonholed while Clark has been left out of something. Lana is like basically stereotyped, and that's proven by Chloe's reaction to Lana the entire episode, which I thought was like appalling. She just kept making like these cheerleader jokes and like basically calling Lana dumb. And she seems to think that all Lana is a cheerleader, and was
Well,
like
I mean,
surprised when she was working at the coffee shop.
these characters are new to us. It's 3 episodes in, and they obviously have a history that we haven't really seen. So, like for Chloe's point of view, Lana has always been a cheerleader, and it does seem out of character to not be a cheerleader now. Like it seems like she put a lot of effort into that, and that's how people perceived her. I'm not condoning it or anything, but I think it's understandable that people would be like, "Oh, that's interesting." That like something that's always been so important to you that you're just getting rid of.
I mean, it kind of seemed just like Chloe was prejudging Lana without really knowing her and only knowing her on surface level after years. I mean, part of it is probably her jealousy because she has a crush on Clark, which we haven't really seen that much of yet. But I don't know.
True.
Her reaction seemed strong to me when she was like that she wanted to click her heels and get back to reality.
That was also about Clark.
Yeah, Clark playing football.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
doesn't look at him like a jock,
yeah,
but still, like Chloe's kind of judgy. Like
she is. Yeah,
she's a reporter after all. Like she's always the first person to like report on the football students like cheating on the test was Chloe, and like she wasn't easy on them either. So like I get that that's the type of person that she is, and like so it didn't strike me as much as it struck you maybe, but like I understand that it's not a nice thing. You see that it's a little cruel, but it just seemed like typical high school crap to me.
I mean, yes, it is. But I mean, I guess it's just a testament to how much Chloe does grow over the seasons. I know her to be different and to be not judgy, so it just seemed a little harsh to me, but that's just me.
It's Chloe growing. It's also Chloe and Lana's friendship, or just a friendship at all, because they're not friends right now, but just their relationship growing, as like, and them both growing individually and growing together. I think because to Chloe right now, Lana's just another girl that she goes to high school with.
That Clark has a
Um,
big crush on.
yeah, the whole waitressing angle and how bad she is at it was very Rachel Green.
God, the guy like bumping into her and then she just drops everything and then they start
Yeah,
clapping.
yeah.
That's so 90s early 2000s.
Well, that's some. I mean, it was around. Friends was still probably popular at that time, so like it makes sense that it would draw some influence.
It was still on air. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty weird to think about. I was thinking about that at the time. I was like, this is very Rachel Green, and that girl behind the counter is like Gunther, scolding her.
Yeah. The woman behind the counter was not a fan of Clark and Lana flirting in front of the counter.
No, I don't know. No, but just later, like Lex was definitely a fan of it. Clark and Lex kind of laughing that Lana got them like something other than what they ordered.
Lex doesn't strike me as a guy to order whipped cream on his coffee.
Yeah.
It was probably
I
like
remember, I
a
remember
hot
him.
chocolate.
Yeah, I remember him ordering a cappuccino, and he says like he jokes about like putting it in like a styrofoam cup. But then she gives him like this plastic cup with like something that has all this whipped cream, and like we're just like, what is this?
Yeah, and Clark just
Yeah,
orders a coffee. He just says coffee,
yeah,
whatever that means. I liked the coffee shop scenes just because like they were just fun, and it was kind of nice seeing a new location for them to be in. I know, and it's kind of cool how you see it before it's the Talon, and you know,
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really think it is the Talon. Like it's just another coffee shop because the Talon's like a movie theater right now.
yeah, but it's the Talon. It's the
Okay.
Talon set.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the same set, of course, but like
You can
in
tell
the
it's the
grand
same
scheme of things,
set.
yeah, it really does embody that very like small town vibe where like all these high school kids have a place to go and hang out,
Yeah,
and Lex,
I
of
would hang
course.
out, and yeah, Lex, who notoriously hangs out with all teenagers.
Well, I mean, he's in that weird spot. I think he like he's not exactly the type to hang out with adults, but also he's a little too old to be hanging out with teenagers. But I guess he decided teenagers is better than talking about things with adults that he doesn't really want to talk about either.
Surely there are other 20-year-olds in the town, but it is what it is.
Who
They
knows,
had to
bro?
write him in somehow.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this rendition of Lex at the beginning. He's very snarky, and he just like some of the comments that he makes, and like that he actually cares. Like the whole thing, like with him and his dad, like he doesn't want to fire people, and like he figures out a way not to fire people. It's sad how he had this good head for business, and then he turns into this evil thing later on.
Yeah, He's trying to do the right thing, and this version of Lionel is so harsh. He's so
Hmm.
hard on Lex. It's so different to where, I mean, Lionel's always Lionel at the end of the day, but he's so much harsher at the beginning of the series than he
I
winds up
think,
being after the Jor-El
I,
stuff.
yeah, I think they kind of switch places a little bit, like where Lex gets more ruthless and Lionel backs off a little bit. Not always, it's not always consistent, but like for the most part, I think there's a part where they like kind of at the same level, like they're both ruthless, and then they start going where like Lex surpasses Lionel and Lionel like regresses a little bit.
Although the one thing that stays consistent is that they always make these references to these historical figures, like
Yeah.
you could just tell that he thinks so highly of himself and his family that he's comparing
Yeah.
it to someone like Caesar, all this other shit, like the kings and whatnot. It's like, all right, Lionel, it's bad enough that
Yeah.
you're in a castle. You got to talk about these other things.
Yeah. I castled from like another place or Scotland or
Scotland,
something.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. He's one of those entitled rich guys that just thinks that the world, is his, for the taking. He thinks he's entitled to everything.
And Lex is one of those like, I'm a cool billionaire. But he kind of goes back and forth in this episode, which I find interesting because in that scene in the coffee shop, he's figuring out a way to cut the staff. And then when Clark and Lana talk about how they're defying their parents, or in Lana's case, Aunt Nell, then it inspires Lex to continue on his, keeping the staff path, which is cool.
I think that was always his goal. Like from the very beginning, he's saying that he's not going to cut staff, but I don't think he saw a way out until they inspired him to like look further. You
Yeah.
know,
Interesting how 14-year-olds inspire him, but it's fine.
I mean, you can't really say where you're going to draw inspiration from. Sometimes it just comes. And if getting, a really wrong order of coffee at the coffee shop works, then yeah, cool.
Can't say it's ever got me any inspiration, but
No,
to each their own.
I guess when Lana Lang is the one bringing it, that's a different story.
She's too young for him still. She's always going to be too young for him.
Yeah.
Considering he
Oh
met
well.
her at age 10, it's very creepy.
Well, I mean, is that when they met?
That's when he met her, yeah.
Well, that's when she remembers first meeting him. Maybe who knows if he met her even sooner and then she doesn't remember. But either way, I get your point. I think he
Gross.
was a little distracted that time, though.
Yeah, he's busy. Scarring her for life.
Yeah.
And then this episode is like the difference between Clark and Jonathan's quote unquote fights and Lex and Lionel's is so interesting because like Clark and Jonathan are talking it out, and Jonathan's definitely stubborn, and then Martha says that they have that in common, him and Clark, which I found amusing.
Mhm.
But then Lionel and Lex, they just like throw the conversation back and forth like daggers, and then they actually sword fight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's an actual sword fight. I also think it's interesting, too, that, like, Coach Walt talking about how football is in his blood, because he's Jonathan's son and, like, he points out he's adopted.
Yeah,
But then later we're, like, talking about how much he follows in his father's footsteps because of their stubbornness. So, like, even though it's not in his blood because he's adopted, he's definitely his father's son.
absolutely. Yeah. I think ultimately, Jonathan relents and stuff, and he saves him from the kryptonite. And their scene at the end is probably my favorite scene of the episode because you know what it is? He's just honest about his feelings. He tells his 14-year-old son that he's afraid, and I think
Hmm.
that's just something that's different about this show.
Yeah, he's a really wholesome character, like, and he's a good dad, like, and
Yeah,
despite this being some random alien they found in a field, like he still treats him like a real son, like that, like his real son. And I remember there's one line that he says is like, I'm happy when you wake up. Like that's just a simple idea of you waking up and being okay is enough for me. That's really great, that Clark happened upon that, like that they're the ones that he found in the field, that would someone who would take care and care about him so much.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, but like the fact that we find out that the Kents were chosen
Mm-hmm.
makes the most sense ever, because
100%.
if anybody's going to raise your kid, you want it to be the Kents.
Oh yeah, we didn't really touch on it, but like Clark saving Quan in the car, like that's like a really cool sequence. It just reaffirms like the type of person he is, like and his immediate reaction, regardless of having powers or not. Like his immediate reaction is like he says to Pete, "Go get help." Even if he wasn't able to do so, he still goes and tries to help. But like even if he didn't, his first thought was like, "Go get help." Like it's just ingrained in him to help people, and
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty great save that he was able to help this guy out of a burning car. And he does the same thing when Chloe's in danger. Like when the torch is burning down, like he goes to save her, doesn't think about anything. And I get that, it's because of his powers. He's like, I'm not going to get hurt, but like still, like he just his first thought is like tell people.
I think, but he's proven too that, not obviously not yet, but in future episodes, even when he's without powers, he's still that same guy. And I think if Jonathan were in the exact position, he would do the same thing. He got his heroics from his father.
Nature versus nurture, bro. Like for sure. The way that they brought him up like definitely leaves an impact on the type of person that he is as a hero. And one can argue he's a hero with or without his powers, but like I mean like as a powered hero or just a regular ordinary good Samaritan.
Hmm. There's a lot to say about nurture with this show, with Clark
Mm-hmm.
and Lex, and the different types of upbringing they have. And I think that was really smart of the
Mm-hmm.
writers to have Lionel be a major part of the show.
It's just the one writer, Greg Walker.
Just Greg.
I like a lot that they address that Lana isn't wearing her necklace that first time when they go into the coffee shop and like they're talking, because like it just gives them that freedom to say like, oh, she's not wearing her Netflix her necklace. That's why it's okay for them to interact, and he's not doing his normal reaction to kryptonite. I'm sorry, meteor rock. We don't say kryptonite yet.
I will say kryptonite. I like that too. I'm glad they addressed it, because then it would have been like an elephant in the room.
Yeah, I mean there were still a couple of times where it was like, like at the end of the episode when she meets him on the field, it's like, okay, well, you just told us that just got fired, so why are you wearing your necklace now? But whatever, like at least it gives you a little bit of cover as to why things are like that. That ending scene with them yelling into the void was pretty funny. Also, it's like all their bonding happens like away from Whitney, and like it just seems like they're bonding towards a relationship, but meanwhile that's the giant elephant in the room, that she has a boyfriend,
Hmm.
that's just conveniently not there. And so I don't know, like that's nice, but also like not really amounting to anything. It's nice that they have a friendship at least, I guess, but we all know that that's not what Clark wants ultimately. Like he doesn't, not that he doesn't want to be your friend, but he wants more.
Yeah. Well, and like she's definitely into it as well, whether that's subconscious or otherwise. But I think her quitting cheerleading is definitely something that's a rift in her relationship with Whitney, because now they've lost the one thing that they really had in common. So it's like,
Yeah, they're
what's
not a
keep
power couple anymore.
well, not even just that, but it's like at this point, Whitney hasn't experienced the kind of grief that Lana's experienced,
Hmm.
and that Clark has, even if he doesn't know exactly what he's lost. But like, what else do they really have in common other than they go to the same high school?
I mean, again, these are still very new characters to us. It's episode 3, so they might have more in common than we realize. But I get your point. Like, it is a pretty big thing. I also think it says a lot that after this game, which they apparently won, because I remember them saying that, like, he won his 200th game, but he didn't even get to see it, the coach. It's telling to me that, like, at the end of that game, she seeks out Clark, not her boyfriend. She goes and finds Clark on this empty field and to talk to him. I think that speaks volumes in itself.
Yeah. And another thing about that conversation, it's kind of fun that he like mirrors her dialogue. He decided to break the vicious cycle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just
he
like she said.
yeah, he repeats like the first, like, when he comes in, when they go into the coffee shop and, like, she's telling him why she made her decision to quit cheerleading. He, like, kind of mirrors that back at her when he's telling her why he's not doing football anymore. Yeah, that is a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. Well directed episode. Greg Beeman winds up directing a lot of the episodes in the series. A lot of cool episodes. He directed the 100th. Nope, the 200th? 100th? Whatever
We'll get there.
512 is. um,
512
what
is the 100th.
100th. Okay, yeah, the 100th. He directed that, and I'm pretty sure he directed the finale in season 10. But
Like the
anyway,
series finale. Well, okay.
yeah. I listened to Talkville, the podcast with Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, and Greg Beeman came on, and he was talking about how he wasn't the first director of the show. The first director of the show usually sets the tone for the show and what it looks like and what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
But Greg was the one who really kind of kept the seamlessness of it throughout his seasons that he was on. He was talking about that and just how he kind of helped other directors who would come in, or he would help other members of the department. And I thought it was really cool just to hear about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that, like, more podcasts are happening. Like, I don't know if you noticed this, but Daredevil Born Again is launching a podcast.
Like the show itself is in affiliation.
I don't know. It just said the official Daredevil Born Again podcast, and, like, I know that Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, both of them are going to be on it. I think a lot of people are, like, craving this type of thing, where you just learn more about the behind the scenes type of stuff that goes on in making shows and movies. So it's cool to
Yeah.
see that actors are doing this, and even directors and writers and producers.
Yep.
I think overall it's a pretty good episode. Like, it establishes a lot of groundwork for the relationships in Clark's life. Like, I feel like you learn a lot more about Chloe and his relationship. You learn more about his Pete and his relationship, Lana and his relationship, him and his father's relationship, even his mother. I think there's less screen time with that, but, like, there's just a lot of tender moments between all of them. It's really, like I said, lays that groundwork.
Yeah, this is definitely the most Martha we've seen. I love Martha. I love Martha Kent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of her, and I know I do, but just thought I'd throw that out there.
It's also really cool to see, like, that actress, after playing Lana Lang in Superman 3, just seeing her now, step into the role of Martha Kent. That's really cool that she gets to do both of those roles.
She's my second favorite Lana Lang. I also kind of just forgot to touch on this, but when Clark kind of steps out of the fire and like it's almost the end to the coach, like the climax,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, "How'd you do that?" And then Clark goes, "It's in the genes." I thought that was like a nice way to
Yeah,
wrap up that kind of thematic.
he's always using people's words against them.
Yes, he is. He really is. And then Lex uses Lionel's words against him
Mm-hmm.
because Lionel tells him that leading with his emotions is his fatal flaw.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Lex defies him,
Yeah.
he mirrors that back to Lionel, and I'm sure Lionel's not happy about that.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. It's very clever, though, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it speaks to how good Lex could have been if he didn't go down this dark path, that he uses his cleverness for good, to get over on his father and, save some people their jobs.
Yeah, I mean his dad just treats him like shit, and you can't even blame him for responding to it with the sarcasm that he does and defying him, because it's in that defiance that he somehow has his good traits.
Yeah. It's also like there is still some evil in him though. Like what Dominic was is like the
Yeah,
father's lackey. He comes in and like when he's leaving, he's like, "Hey Dominic, tell your sister I say hi." It's like he's still
he's
a
like,
little deviant.
I have in my notes, Lex banged Dominic's sister. It's actually so funny in the first few seasons that they paint Lex as this like hoe, this whore.
He's
Of
yes,
actually,
but it's also like, just a rich boy that throws his money around to, get people to like him. Just look how he responded to like Clark saving his life. He gives him a giant, pickup truck. He just buys people so that they give a shit about him.
yeah, that's true. Most people, anyway. There's some people here and there, but he messes a lot of that up.
Yeah. Oh well. We
Yeah,
all know the path he's going down. It's sad when you see this side of him.
yeah. I really can't wait to dissect him once he starts going down that path, or like at least struggling with it, because it's like you have the fate of these characters in the back of your mind when you're watching it, and still you hope that they don't end up where they end up. And by they, I mean like Lex, really. Well, Jonathan too, because Jonathan Kent dies in the comics, depending on which one you
Hmm.
read. You hope that they'll have a different end because they start
Yeah,
from someplace so different.
I definitely do it. I definitely do it all the time. Like I'll see, like I know where things are going. Even like on a rewatch, I'll know where things are going, and I'm just like, don't do that. Things will change and be different, even though like the show is already filmed. But like, you just wish it was different.
There's shows that I've rewatched several times, and I still hope that it's different.
Hmm. I think that's exactly the emotion, the reaction they're looking for.
A little delusion never hurt anybody.
Yeah, not at all.
Hear the fire
You got
truck?
some fire trucks, yeah. Did Coach Walt pay your building a visit?
Oh, okay. This,
I think it's so funny too. Like, is that like, oh, I forgot. This is this symbolism when he's attacking Chloe or like setting the torch on fire, torching the torch. He's standing behind like a fire, like emergency fire exit, like, and it says it right on the door.
yeah.
And I think it's so funny that that's where they chose to have him stand, like right behind the fire exit.
That was something that they were just thinking about on set, and they're like, where it would be a clever place to put him, right
Yeah,
in front of them. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it
absolutely.
was. And it was. A lot of the set decoration kind of is in that same vein. There's like a lot of punny, like
Yeah,
newspaper clippings or like signs or whatever. If you really notice them,
yeah, absolutely. I feel like this was just like a time thing, but like the first couple of times he like experiences his powers, he's like confused, like I don't know what's going on. But not very long after. In fact, in the same scene, like the second scene, like where the TV goes on fire, like when he's talking to Principal Kwan because he gets angry. And then later in that scene, like when Principal Kwan's going to his car, like he's like directing the fire, even though he's how the hell did that happen with the TV? But yet he's able to control it like 2 minutes later. So
well, the episode's only 45 minutes long, so
I know that's what I'm saying. You can only do so much, but it's just interesting to see, how he goes from like what the hell is going on to like I'm going to control this now.
yeah. Well, speaking of that scene, another thing I forgot to talk about, it's like after Coach Walt slams his fist down on the table and the fire comes out, he's just like, yeah, what the hell's going on here? And it's like, well, you saw it with your own eyes. What happened and what's going on
Yeah.
here?
Just think about what your reaction would be if that happened. You'd probably be like, "What the hell's going on here?" Too. How else can you react?
I'd be like, dude, what the fuck is coming out of your fists?
I mean, nothing came out of his hands. It just started a fire on the other side of the room.
Whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
I,
What's
I
going
know.
on here? Clearly, the man can control fire.
There's another song that comes up when Lex is in the coffee house that I recognize. I don't remember the name of it though. This episode definitely had a lot of songs that I knew and I remembered.
Clint Eastwood and Motivation are probably the two that I know the best.
Yeah, it's so nostalgic. The show itself is nostalgic as it is, and then you hear all these like older songs that we listened to when we were teenagers.
Sure does.
Any deep dives or rabbit holes that you noticed?
I mean, really, just the theme of the episode, with legacy. Actually, that's not true. I have one small. It's not a deep dive. It's more like a puddle. Um,
Okay.
when Clark first joins the football team, he's wearing a number 89 jersey, but when he goes to the pep rally, he's wearing a number 32 jersey. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. It could just be a continuity error.
I mean, that would be weird. I don't know.
Who knows, man? Good eye though.
Thanks.
We already kind of talked about like notable 2000s references, like with the songs and stuff. Do you have a favorite scene or favorite shot?
Favorite shot? I mean, I guess the sequence with Clark saving Quan would be like a cool sequence, cool shots in there. Nothing crazy in this episode, but favorite scene would probably be the scene at the end with Jonathan and Clark, where Jonathan's honest about him being afraid and them making up. That and, the scene with Lana at the end too. Those are probably my favorites. You?
I kind of like the scene that we were talking about, like with Lex and Lana and Clark a lot. Just in the coffee shop, like just being kids. It felt very genuine. I enjoyed that scene.
It was playful. They seemed like friends.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
There was just a genuineness to it that stuck out to me.
Yeah, better enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap on Hothead.
That's a way to say it.
Well, he made his own bed.
What if instead of a water bed, he turned his water bed, because he turned water into fire, which I don't think is possible, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean the sprinkler scene was pretty cool. Yeah,
It was, but I don't know how possible that is.
it's meteor rock, bro. Like anything's possible.
Yeah, what if he had a fire bed?
I think that would be kind of hard to sleep on.
Not for him.
I mean, yeah, like he still died from the fire. Even though he creates it, doesn't mean he's impervious to it.
That's true. Should have tried a little harder to live then.
Maybe he thought that he was impervious to it. He's like, if I'm creating this, maybe I'm immune. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what was going through the guy's head. He just seemed really angry. And maybe that's the whole thing too. Hothead is not just literally, it's also figuratively. He is a hothead.
That he is. He was just a egotistical, entitled man.
Yeah.
I think this episode was decently straightforward. I mean, it was a good episode, I thought. Solid. I wouldn't say there was anything like. There are episodes where I'm like wowed, and then there are episodes like this that are solid, and then there are episodes that are kind of like, eh. That's what happens when you have a 22 episode season. This is one of the more solid episodes,
Yeah,
I would say.
I agree. Definitely a solid episode.
Well, I think that's it for this episode.
Don't forget that you can follow us on Instagram at Relative Banter Pod and Twitter at Relative Banter.
And if you have any questions or comments, or would like to troll Justin for not liking the theme song of Smallville, feel free to email us at relativebanterpod@aol.com.
Yeah, sure. Come and troll me, and I welcome you to troll me though. Come join us next time when we discuss episode 4, X-Ray.
See you then.